So when I read this article, the first thing I was thinking about was, anytime there's somebody escaping a container, I want to learn about that. I want to learn about the technique that was used, how you can prevent that, how you can monitor for it. But at the end of the day, that wasn't my big takeaway from it, right? So yes, there is an escape, and Microsoft has patched it, and so it's just something we need to be aware of. But basically, a security researcher found a way to escape a Windows container running in Microsoft Azure. So that's a big deal. Well, I shouldn't say it's that big of a deal. Most people don't use Windows containers. They use Linux containers. But in this case, it was a Windows container, and they were able to escape. And when they reported it to Microsoft, actually, I had to back up just a little bit because it was a Windows container running in Google Cloud. So it was in, it was Kubernetes. But it was in Azure. So it actually wasn't in Google Cloud. So I got to get my facts straight.
It doesn't affect the using VM, what's the stupid Windows version of
Hyper-V?
Hyper-V, yep. Thank you. I can never remember.
So Kubernetes was involved, and that's important, and I'll get to that here in just a minute. So basically, the security researcher reported it to Microsoft, and the Microsoft engineers said this is not a security flaw because Windows containers are not a security boundary. They said this containers, or Windows containers at least, are simply ways of packaging applications so they run consistently, not to provide security. So the security researcher then went to Google and said, "Hey,
face is amazing."
Yeah.
The look on his face. What?
They said, "Hey, when we deploy this with Kubernetes, it's vulnerable, and I can escape it super easy. Let me show you how." And Google ended up having to work with Microsoft, and Microsoft eventually had to step back and say, "Okay, from now on, we'll maintain the security boundary for a container." But that is the shocking thing that I took away from this article, because what the hell is the point of a container if it's not a security boundary? That's a big deal. So John, am I just off in left field? Is a security boundary not an important feature of a container?
No, I think you're exactly right. And this is visibly blowing my mind. But it's a problem I feel like we've ran into in the past. Maybe me and my crew specifically, again, in the realm of capture the flag, training and learning and education and exercises, because traditionally we've had a lot of per user dynamic scalable environments that our players can learn in and work in. Traditionally that's in Linux, and we use Linux containers, again, as I mentioned, with Kubernetes to spin that up for them. We have dabbled with the idea of having Windows containers because there's so much to learn in that realm, in that environment. But we ran into just the same issue where we're like, I don't know if this is going to end up being safe or secure, because in this Windows container, I can't stop the user from reading whatever sensitive secrets are keeping Kubernetes afloat. It boggles my mind to hear you say that when Microsoft came back and said, like, no, it's not a security boundary. We're using a container just so it's a box without a lid on it.
So I screwed up the setup so bad on that one. I want to read the quote just so everybody knows. From the article, it says Microsoft originally didn't consider this issue a vulnerability based on the reasoning that Windows Server containers are not a security boundary, and therefore each application that is being run inside a container should be treated as if it's executed directly on the host.
And that's Ben Franklin that said that?
Yeah, Ben Franklin. Really a lot of foresight from that guy.
Yeah. He's a forward thinker, wasn't he?
But basically, Microsoft has acknowledged this. It is it's CVE 2021-24096. If you want to read some more about it, it's flagged as a Windows kernel elevation of privilege vulnerability, which is pretty much as bad as you can get.
The article does say Palo Alto Networks customers are protected from this threat with Prisma Cloud's runtime protection features.
Well, there we go.
There you go. Just get Prisma Cloud.
Turns out the solution was already out there.
Yeah, man. It's funny. The person that finds it also offers a solution to stop it.
Well, that makes sense. I don't begrudge them that, I suppose.
We're going to title this podcast, Read the Article That Made John Hammond's Head Explode.
Yeah. It's a really long article and very technical, by the way.
Yeah. It was hard for me to focus on the rest of the article after seeing that, because
I went and read the article that came before it, which was like, oh, okay, because this person kind of talks about all the steps that they took to discover
they did a lot.
and exploit. Yeah, this is a really great set of articles. So follow the rabbit hole if you're technically inclined and learn a lot about how these Windows containers work, specifically in a Kubernetes cluster, and how they were able to get execution of code on other VMs in the same. It's like crazy stuff, awesome stuff.
If you enjoyed that segment, be sure to check out our entire podcast available in the playlist right here. And you can always subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech news and other happenings in the IT world. Be sure to tune in every Thursday for new episodes. I hope to see you there.